You've been lied to your entire life. Everything you think you know about reality, about time, success, meaning has been carefully constructed to keep you blind. They told you the world is solid, predictable, built on facts, but what if none of that is true? What if reality isn't defined by what's there, but by what's missing? What if the rules you've been taught are nothing more than illusions designed to keep you trapped inside a system that was never built for you? Right now, you believe in limits, physical, mental, even spiritual. You trust in boundaries because that's how you've been conditioned to see the world. But here's the truth. Those limits were placed there, not by nature, not by universal law, but by the very structures designed to control you. Your thoughts, your beliefs, even your perception of time itself, they are all programmed patterns, reinforced over and over until you stopped questioning them. And that was the plan all along. Think about this. The universe doesn't work the way they told you it does. Science has already proven that everything is energy, constantly shifting, responding to observation. Reality is not a fixed state, it's a construct that bends to perception. Quantum physics has shown that particles don't exist in a definite place until they are observed. The act of looking changes what is real. Now, ask yourself, if reality shifts when you look at it, then what does that say about the nature of your entire existence? You've been conditioned to believe in structure, in order, in systems that define what is real and what isn't. But the most powerful secret, the one they never wanted you to know, is that reality is fluid. It isn't set in stone. It's a reflection of your consciousness. The world is a mirror, bending and shifting based on what you expect to see. Change your perception, and you change the entire game. But first, you must unlearn everything they made you believe. Because once you see the truth, there's no going back. Everything you've been told about reality is a carefully crafted illusion. You were taught to trust what you see, to believe in what you can touch, to define truth by physical evidence. But what if reality isn't built on what's there? It's built on what's missing. What if the solid ground you think you stand on is nothing more than a construct, a fragile web of perception held together by belief? Imagine staring at a blank page. At first, it's just emptiness, a void of nothingness. Then you take a pen and draw a single line. Suddenly, that empty space is transformed. It now has meaning, a definition, a boundary. But here's the catch. That meaning only exists because of the contrast. Without the surrounding emptiness, the line wouldn't matter. Push too far, add too many strokes, and suddenly the image collapses into chaos. The structure disappears, swallowed by the overwhelming noise. Now think about your own perception of life. You believe you see things: clear success, failure, identity, purpose. But what if none of it exists the way you think it does? What if every label, every rule, every division you've accepted as truth is nothing more than a pattern imposed onto the void? The uncomfortable reality is that what you call real is simply an illusion of contrast. Nothing and everything are not opposites, they are the same. One defines the other. And the second you grasp this, everything begins to fall apart. They never told you that the world is shaped not by facts, but by absence. A word only holds meaning because of what it excludes. A shadow only exists because of the light it blocks. A boundary is only real because of the space it separates. So here's the question they never wanted you to ask. If you remove all contrast, all separation, does reality still exist? Or does it vanish into the nothingness it was always built upon? Quantum physics has already shattered the illusion of a fixed reality. Yet most people still cling to the outdated belief that the world is solid, structured, and absolute. The truth is far stranger. Reality does not exist independently of the observer. Particles behave like ghosts, existing in multiple states until they are measured. The simple act of looking collapses infinite possibilities into a single outcome. This means that what you call real is not a universal truth, it is a decision shaped by perception. The double-slit experiment proves this beyond doubt. When scientists fire electrons through a barrier with two slits, they behave like waves, spreading out and creating an interference pattern. But the moment they are observed, their behavior changes, they act like particles, following a single path. Consciousness itself alters reality, forcing it to conform to expectation. This is not philosophy. This is hard science. And yet, you were never taught to question what this truly means. If reality responds to observation, then what does that say about your everyday experiences? The boundaries you believe in space, time, even identity may not be fundamental laws, but constructs. Time, for instance, is not linear. Einstein proved that time bends, stretches, and contracts based on motion and gravity. In the absence of an observer, There is no definitive past, present, or future, only an interconnected web of possibilities. Your past is not set in stone. Your future is not waiting for you. Both are unfolding in real time, molded by your perception. Now, consider the mind. Every thought you have, every belief you hold is simply electrical activity in the brain, patterns of neurons firing in response to stimuli. But where do those thoughts originate? Neuroscience cannot pinpoint the source of consciousness. Theories suggest that the brain does not produce consciousness, it filters it, like a radio receiving a signal. If that's true, then who or what is broadcasting that signal? And more importantly, how much of what you experience is truly yours? If your mind is just an interface, then reality is nothing more than a simulation projected onto the screen of perception. The most powerful secret is that reality is not fixed. It is fluid, responsive, and shaped by awareness. The world does not exist in any absolute form. It is sculpted by the meaning you assign to it. And if that's true, then the question is no longer what reality is, but who is truly in control of it. Reality is a painting, but you were only given a brush after the canvas had already been covered. From the moment you were born, the colors, the shapes, the meaning of the world were painted for you. You were told that the sky is blue, that time moves forward, that success is a destination. But what if you could strip away that paint? What if, underneath every layer, there was only a blank canvas waiting for you to create your own meaning? Imagine staring at a vast ocean. The surface ripples with movement, but beneath it lies a depth so profound that no light can reach it. Most people spend their entire lives skimming the surface, reacting to the waves, mistaking the motion for meaning. But true understanding comes from diving deep, from letting go of the illusion that what is seen is all there is. The real power is not in the water itself, but in the silence of the abyss beneath it. Think about a mirror. It reflects everything, yet it holds nothing. When you stand before it, you see yourself. But what if that reflection was not a perfect replica? What if it was simply an interpretation, a distorted projection of who you think you are? You trust the reflection, but the mirror only shows what the light allows. Shift the angle, change the lighting, and the image transforms. Reality works the same way. It is not a single truth, but an ever-changing illusion shaped by perspective. Now picture a book with missing pages. You read the story, convinced you understand the plot, the characters, the ending. But what if the most important chapters were never written? What if the very structure of the narrative was designed to keep you from seeing what was never meant to be revealed? Reality is not what is told, it is what is left unsaid. The world you know is built not on certainty, but on gaps, on the absence of information, on the spaces between the lines. And once you learn to read the silence, you begin to understand the truth that was always hidden in plain sight. Close your eyes and imagine a single thread. Alone, it is fragile, insignificant, but weave it into a pattern and it becomes something greater, a tapestry, an illusion of structure, a story. Yet pull one thread loose and the entire design unravels. The framework collapses, revealing that the pattern was never real. Your perception of reality is just that, a woven illusion, held together by belief. But belief can be rewoven. The threads can be restructured. And once you realize that, you don't just see reality, you shape it. Everything you believe feels real because you've never questioned the structure holding it together. You trust your memories, your senses, your thoughts, but what if none of them belong to you? What if your perception of reality isn't just flawed, but intentionally manipulated? You assume you are making choices, but how many of your decisions were truly yours? The food you eat, the language you speak, the beliefs you defend, where did they come from? You didn't create them, you inherited them, and that should terrify you. Think about the way time feels. It seems linear, moving forward like a ticking clock, an inevitable sequence of past, present, future. But time is an illusion. Einstein proved that past and future exist simultaneously, that time bends and stretches, that a second for one person could be a lifetime for another. If time is not fixed, then why do you experience it as if it is? Because your mind was programmed to process it that way. And if something as fundamental as time can be rewritten, what else can? Now, consider language. You think in words, structure your reality through definitions. But words are prisons, forcing you to categorize, label, separate. Look at the word self. It assumes an identity, a boundary between you and everything else. But science tells us that the atoms in your body are constantly exchanging with the environment. that the air you breathe was once part of a star, that the cells making up your body are replaced every few years. If you are constantly changing, then who exactly are you? If identity is just a pattern, then what happens when the pattern breaks? You were told to believe in success, to chase wealth, to seek purpose. But what if the pursuit itself is the trap? The more you chase, the further you feel from satisfaction. The moment you achieve, the next goal replaces it. The system was designed that way to keep you running, to keep you consuming, to keep you asleep. But wake up for a second. Look around. If happiness always exists just beyond your reach, then maybe it was never real to begin with. You think you see reality, but you don't. You see a script, a carefully crafted illusion, held together by belief, expectation, and repetition. You were never supposed to question it. You were supposed to accept it, to play your role, to follow the script without realizing it was written for you. But now, you see the cracks. The structure is breaking. And the moment you allow yourself to question everything, the illusion collapses. What's left when everything you believe turns to dust? That's the question they never wanted you to ask. And now, it's the only question that matters. Reality is not something you experience. It's something you create. You were taught to see the world as a fixed structure, a rigid system of rules and limitations. But the truth is far more dangerous. Nothing exists in a definite form until you observe it. Everything you experience bends to perception. The laws of physics, time itself, even your sense of self, all of it is fluid, shifting according to the patterns you accept as truth. And here's what they never told you. If reality responds to observation, then whoever controls perception controls the world. Think about a dream. When you're inside it, it feels real. You react to the environment, follow the logic of the world around you, never questioning why things appear as they do. But the moment you realize it's a dream, everything changes. You stop reacting and start creating. You bend the environment, alter the rules, reshape the experience at will. What if waking life is no different? What if the only thing keeping you from rewriting reality is the belief that you can't? Quantum mechanics has already proven this. The observer effect shows that the act of watching changes what is being observed. If reality is nothing more than a response to awareness, then why do you still believe in limits? The only difference between a dream and what you call real life is that in a dream, you know you have control. Here, you are conditioned to forget. You are trained to accept the world as something that happens to you rather than something you actively shape. But that conditioning can be broken. Look around you. Every structure in society, every belief you hold, every rule you follow exists because someone made it so. Language was created. Laws were written. Money was assigned value. The system you live in is not natural, it was built. And if something can be built, it can be rebuilt. If it can be rewritten, it can be rewritten by you. Now, ask yourself, what would happen if you stopped reacting to reality and started directing it? What if, instead of following the script, you became the one who wrote it? This is the secret they never wanted you to discover. You have always been the architect of your own reality. But as long as you believe in the illusion of limits, you will never realize the power that has been yours all along. Reality is not something you experience. It's something you create. You were taught to see the world as a fixed structure, a rigid system of rules and limitations. But the truth is far more dangerous. Nothing exists in a definite form until you observe it. Everything you experience bends to perception. The laws of physics, time itself, even your sense of self, all of it is fluid, shifting according to the patterns you accept as truth. And here's what they never told you. If reality responds to observation, then whoever controls perception controls the world. Think about a dream. When you're inside it, it feels real. You react to the environment, follow the logic of the world around you, never questioning why things appear as they do. But the moment you realize it's a dream, everything changes. You stop reacting and start creating. You bend the environment, alter the rules, reshape the experience at will. What if waking life is no different? What if the only thing keeping you from rewriting reality is the belief that you can't? Quantum mechanics has already proven this. The observer effect shows that the act of watching changes what is being observed. If reality is nothing more than a response to awareness, then why do you still believe in limits? The only difference between a dream and what you call real life is that in a dream, you know you have control. Here, you are conditioned to forget. You are trained to accept the world as something that happens to you rather than something you actively shape. But that conditioning can be broken. Look around you. Every structure in society, every belief you hold, every rule you follow exists because someone made it so. Language was created. Laws were written. Money was assigned value. The system you live in is not natural, it was built. And if something can be built, it can be rebuilt. If it can be rewritten, it can be rewritten by you. Now, ask yourself, what would happen if you stopped reacting to reality and started directing it? What if, instead of following the script, you became the one who wrote it? This is the secret they never wanted you to discover. You have always been the architect of your own reality. But as long as you believe in the illusion of limits, you will never realize the power that has been yours all along. You started to see it now, the cracks in the illusion, the patterns hiding in plain sight, the way reality shifts the moment you change your perception. You were told the world is fixed, that time moves in a straight line, that success, identity, and meaning are external things you must chase. But none of it was ever real. Every rule you've followed, every belief you've held, every limitation you've accepted, they were placed there to keep you blind to the one truth that changes everything. Reality is not something you observe, it is something you generate. Every thought, every expectation, every belief sends out a frequency, shaping what you experience before you even realize it. The world doesn't happen to you, reacts to you. What you call coincidence is just your subconscious molding reality in ways you were never taught to recognize. But now you see it. The cause and effect illusion is breaking down. The system was never built to give you power, it was built to keep you from realizing you've had it all along. Look at the patterns repeating in your life. The same struggles, the same obstacles, the same results. That's not fate, that's programming. You've been running the same script over and over, believing you are powerless to change it. But what happens when you stop following the pattern? What happens when you disrupt the cycle? The moment you reject the script, reality is forced to adapt. And that is the secret. You are not trapped in the world, you are generating it in real time. They never wanted you to figure this out, because the second you do, you stop playing by their rules. You stop reacting, stop obeying, stop accepting. You begin to create, to bend the structure, to impose your will on a world that was always waiting for you to wake up. The illusion only works if you believe in it, but belief can be rewritten. And the second you rewrite it, you don't just change your life, you change the entire system itself. Now the question is, what will you do with the truth? You've spent your entire life reacting to reality, accepting the world as it appears, following patterns that were never yours to begin with. But now, it's time to break the cycle. You're going to prove to yourself that reality bends to perception, that what you focus on expands, and that the mind is not just an observer, it is the architect. This is not theory. This is something you can test for yourself. For the next 24 hours, eliminate one major source of mental noise. No social media, no news, no random scrolling. The system feeds you distractions to keep you from realizing your own power. It fills your mind with static, drowning out your ability to direct reality. When you cut out the noise, something strange happens. Clarity. You will start to see patterns that were always there, hidden beneath the distractions. Your thoughts will shift, your focus will sharpen. The things you never noticed before will suddenly reveal themselves. Now, take it further. Close your eyes and sit in total silence for 3 minutes. No phone, no music, no input from the outside world. Just sit. As your mind races, let every thought dissolve into the void. Most people can't handle this. They panic when faced with emptiness. But that's because they were trained to fear stillness. They were programmed to keep chasing, keep consuming, never stopping long enough to realize the truth. Stillness is where real power begins. After those 3 minutes, introduce a single thought. Not a random wish, not a passing desire, but something you truly want to manifest, something you are ready to experience. Visualize it as if it has already happened. Feel it, see it. Hold it in your awareness as if it's as real as the ground beneath you. Then, let it go. Over the next 7 days, watch what happens. Pay attention to synchronicities. Notice how reality shifts in response to your focus. This is not coincidence. This is the hidden mechanism of creation, the truth they never wanted you to see. Once you learn to control your focus, you learn to control reality itself. Try it and see for yourself.